Hey, this is Josh with Revhard Motors coming to you today. We're going to be bringing you a new segment called Behind the Scenes, where we show you what we do to get cars ready, the transport process, daily activities, kind of what goes on around here to get a better idea of what goes on in the car that you buy. Revhard Motors is more of a dealership than an importer. A lot of people like to classify us as an importer. We do import a lot of our cars, however, we're a car dealership. So what that means is when a car comes in, we inspect the car, we check it for safety. That would be brakes, tires, windshield. A lot of times we're checking out the fuel pump, spark plugs, air cleaners, brakes, getting the car ready in good condition for you. And then once we sell the car, we do all the paperwork, we get you the title and everything that it takes to get the car in your name legally. In addition to that, we handle all the service side on the back side. And most importantly, in our local area especially, we help you pass emissions. And emissions here is becoming more and more like California, smog compliant, so it's quite a process. So when you buy a car at Revhard Motors, it's more about the service you experience and the comfort of knowing that the car you own is going to be supported. Anybody with the internet connection can get one of these cars. Importing a car is not really that hard. If you need help with it, call us, we can help you. So follow me. Two types of cars that we get. We get consignment cars or cars that we purchase for inventory. So as you can see over here, this is the Stagia. This Stagia has a treatment similar to a 260 RS. You got the same front bumper, back bumper. This car originally marketed to someone who was importing a car as a show car, a track car. It had all the fancy gizmos in it, had a super huge tack in it. It had a Apex boost controller, it has a F-Con. This thing had like 20 devices and it ran like shit. So a lot of times the cars that people buy because they look cool or they have all the gizmos end up being one of the more challenging. So what we did here is took this car out, we pulled the whole motor out, resealed the gaskets because RBs tend to leak, especially when you change elevation. So it did the oil pump, the water pump, we did new timing belt, and then if you follow me here, this here is the rat's nest of wires and devices that we took out of the vehicle. Some of this controls, like this here used to control the automatic transmission. It's now a manual converted, so this box and a mile of wire harness was in there. This car also had a Venom nitrous setup, and we went ahead and removed that. It happened to be one of the biggest jets that they happen to have, and that was just a recipe for disaster. And so we cleaned up the car, solid. We made sure it doesn't leak, make sure it runs solid, and that's kind of what we do. That's kind of the extreme case here. In most cases here, it's like this Toyota Soarer. This here is a 25T manual. Pretty good color, pretty good condition overall. In this car, as a quick glance, we found that the fuel pump is out. There's a couple belts that need to be adjusted, so we'll go through here. We're gonna check the brakes. Obviously the tires on it are brand new. All the glass looks good. This will go off to detail and come back looking nice. So we put a lot of time and energy and effort into the cars that we bring in. No car is perfect. These are 25-year-old plus vehicles from Japan, and any vehicle over 25 years is gonna have some issue. There's no way to be a fortune teller or a future predictor of what's gonna break. So as the car comes in, we look and see what it needs addressed, and as it sends out, if something breaks down the road, we're happy to address that too. That's kind of what we do, is the whole picture. One of the harder parts about these cars is a lot of them we don't have here. So if you go to a regular mechanic shop and get a brake job, the parts don't add up. There is no car to match it to. So a lot of the work that we do is searching in databases, finding original OE part numbers, finding what matches here in the US, and if not, sourcing it from anywhere in the world. So back here, as you can see, we have the Datsun fire truck. So this truck we just picked up from a guy in Ohio for a good customer of ours, fitted in his Toyota Crown. He purchased the vehicle, went off-roading in the vehicle, everything went fine. Saturday, he found himself on the side of the highway. He suspects the U-joints holding things together, but we'll go ahead and take a look at that, see what's going on there. So again, anyone with the internet connection can buy these vehicles. It's a matter of the service that we provide to make sure that you guys stay on the road, have the support you need for parts, the support you need for service, the titling, make sure you pass emissions. So this car here is a wonderful example of a GTO, known here as a 3000 GT. Pretty much complete stock setup, except for the exhaust is modified to go 2 straight out instead of Y into a cat and back out. It's kind of a muffler there. There is a cat on the down tube of one of the turbos, but not the other. So we bring this car into special inspection. Special inspection here in Colorado is the test that we go through to get the form that will allow us to run emissions. It's called a DR2365. With that DR2365, you can then go to the lane and run the car, because when you bring the car in, there's no 17-digit VIN, there's no VIN explosion, they don't know how to do the test. So back up to the test and going through the inspection, which we help out with, it was determined that this car needed to go back to factory spec. And factory spec for them, after showing them the Japanese schematics, is a Y back into a cat, back out. And they gave us basically two options. One, these older cars have a sensor for cat temperature. There's a little red light, looks like a cat with little waves off the top of it, and it just basically lets you know if your cat's too hot. It's not related to the fuel air mixture system really. However, at the Air Care Colorado, they believe that that is part of it and they want to see factory spec. So we have to have a cat that also has the bung for that sensor. And the two options that we have are to fabricate one, and we got teamed up with a company that would do so. However, to do that, we had to manufacture like 200 units. The second way, and the way that we're going with and got approval for, is to just order the factory cat from Japan. We did find a few out there. We'll get that source, weld that back into a Y, install this cat, and we'll get this customer on with the DR2365. So sometimes this process can take a little bit of time, but it's something that we are very acutely aware of and help every customer through. These are the things that a lot of people don't see behind the scenes, the reconditioning of the cars that we do, the servicing of the cars when they come back, what it actually takes to get a car past emissions. Here in Colorado, they've lowered the emissions threshold of tolerable gases by 40% or so, which means that a lot of cars that would pass a year or two ago are not really passing right now. So it's been a challenge that we've been able to overcome. And so if anyone needs help with that, you know where to find us. Now, I'll walk and show you around a little bit more of a tour video. We just got a bunch of cars in. We'll kind of go through what we're going to be doing to them. And then as we go through this process, we'll show you, kind of the beginning to the end. So that way you guys are familiar with what we're doing to the cars. This here is a Nissan Stagia. It's a RS4. Obviously, this is dirty as all get out. Needs some paint cleanup, bay cleanup. We have a filter. The cover for that's in the back. All of this will get cleaned up. Over here, we need a side marker light. There's some paint chip on the bumper back there, a little ding on the back. We'll get this all addressed. This one here that's also desperately in need of a bath is a Toyota Aristo. It's early gen. This has the 3-liter inline-6 turbo. Currently in auto configuration, but it'll be priced right. Easy enough to swap to a R154. We have a couple of GTS-Ts that came in. These will get cleaned up. I don't know what they need yet. Obviously, it needs to be detailed. Now follow me to some of the funner stuff. This here, obviously, is an RWB Porsche. This is for a good client of the shop / partner. On display for a while, cleaning it up, tinkering a little bit. We're gonna get this all detailed and polished. When we ship these cars, there's a lot of steep ramps up the boats, so we have to raise them up. So as you can see, the traditional RWB fitment isn't necessarily in play. We're gonna get this lowered down, cleaned up. You'll see some more content on this later. We got some good things planned. Sadly, today we're gonna see this go. This was one of our favorite projects so far. This is a Midnight Purple 2R34, as you guys see the videos coming out. Pretty special project to us. The car was brought in and we were tasked to make it look clean and original. Not over the top, crazy show clean or, any weird trinket parts. So we just wanted to make it look clean, classic, and original. Denver Ace hooked it up with the detail, a little dusty right now. Interior solid. This has the Nismo center panel. This will be headed out today, back out to Florida. We're gonna miss this car. This is a car I want to introduce to you. I call it the Evo CeeLo. It's a 4, 5, and 6, basically. It's an Evo 4. As you can see, it has the wide body kit. This just came in. We're going to be addressing some of the paint issues, cleaning up some of the suspension issues. Of course, the interior is going to be addressed. Pretty clean engine bay, just needs a couple things polished up. As you can see, we probably get these cleaned up, some new rubber going in for here, tune it up, oil change, go through the brakes, and most importantly, get it ready for emissions. Turbo 4G63s are a hit or miss, and so most of the work done in this car is going to be at the emission center. The other thing is a lot of the cars that we sell, or some of the cars that we bring in for people, don't ever make it to the website. You know, a lot of the broker cars that we bring in end up in other states. You know, a lot of times we don't get to see the cars. This here is a Honda Beat that was brought in for a good customer of ours, and he really wants to savor and enjoy this car for the longevity. So it's here. We're gonna yank the motor out. We have a full gasket set. We're gonna be doing new valves on it and just really start the process here. During the course of ownership of this car, you know, his father passed away, so like this is the last car that they had in common. So this will be a special treasure that he keeps and a project that we take a lot of pride in helping in. So we'll stay tuned and see how that goes. Celica GT4 you might recognize. We sold it originally. It's been out in the sun a bit. You know, this is something else that we do for the community is, you know, you buy the car, you enjoy it for a while, and maybe it's time to move on. Maybe you have some life goals. Maybe you want to liquidate some assets or something. A lot of times these cars come back here to sell. A story I'd like to share with you is personally myself, I imported a R32 Skyline. I waited 3 months for it to get here. On the boat here, I was not aware of the major common failure points. In a 32, that is the oil pumps and the ceramic turbo blades. The ceramic fan blades, they turn to dust at high RPMs. I found that out the hard way after a week of owning the car. And once we put the turbos back in the car, which I don't recommend, you should drop the subframe on doing anything on an RB. The second week of ownership, I got the red light of death, my oil pump ring snapped, and I spun a bearing. So after 3 months of waiting, now I'm 3 months on a lift before I can drive my vehicle again. So it's been especially important for us to understand and help people understand what they're getting into, what the common failure points are, what's the difference between surface rust and rust I should be worried about. You know, when looking at these cars, there is how my car is compared to all the new cars, and then there's how your car is compared to all the cars like it. When I first had my 32 arrive, we had it on the lift, I noticed some problematic little rust spots, and I thought, oh man, I bought the worst car ever. Now, having a few other R32 owners over, I was assured that one of my car was one of the better examples. So it's a frame of reference thing. So I bring this up for 2 reasons. Now, after waiting 3 months for a new Skyline, I get it here, 2 weeks the motor breaks. I could have A, got super mad at the person that sold it to me and put them on blast on the internet and said they sold me a super shitty car. Or B, I can also accept the fact that I didn't know what the common failure points were. I drove the car without fixing it before addressing those common failure points. The reason that we're showing you behind the scenes is just to kind of give you an idea of what we do to address these vehicles, show you that we have the systems and mechanisms to support it, and mostly that's really all we care about, is just being here for the community, making sure that the cars that you buy stay on the road. We have a real deep passion for the cars that we sell. That's what keeps us all doing this. This isn't easy sometimes. It's very difficult work. We hope you enjoy our series of behind the scenes. We hope you stay tuned as we guide these projects through, and we'll see you in the next one.